Coach, how are you?
Doing tremendous. Thank you. How are you, Tom?
Good. Hey, let's go ahead and get this thing started.
Yep.
I'm going to go through. We're very fortunate to have the speakers we have, and the turnout's been unbelievable. Our next speaker, after Greg Gard, is Brad Underwood, the head coach of the University of Illinois. First, I just want to say thanks for all you're doing on the Coaches versus Cancer, and now being on the NABC board of directors. And you've been a member of the NABC for 32 years. Your topic is going to be man-to-man offense. You've been in 10 trips to the NCAA tournament. Last year they went to the round of 32. I'm just going to go through the journey through coaching and playing. Started his career on the playing side at Hardin-Simmons, and then Independence Community College, Kansas State as a guard. Then got into coaching in 1986 at Hardin-Simmons as a GA, then went to Dodge City as a community college, Western Illinois, and then became the head coach at Daytona Beach. Kansas State as an assistant, Kansas State as an associate head coach. Same at South Carolina in 2012 and 13. And then went to Stephen F. Austin and did an unbelievable job there. I think they lost one conference game in the time you were there. 2016, you became the head coach at Oklahoma State, and then 2017 at Illinois. Some of the accolades, like I said, unbelievable turnaround and job that he's done. 3 times Southland tournament champion, 2014, 15, and 16. 3-time regular season champion, same time period, 14, 15, and 16. Big Ten tournament champion in 21 and 24. Big Ten regular season champ in 22. Awards, 3-time coach of the year in the Southland Conference. Joe B. Hall, Coach of the Year in 2014, Coaches versus Cancer Champion Award 2023. Coach, thanks for being with us tonight.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Tom. I'm a big fan of clinics. I think that no matter where we're at in our career, it's the opportunity to continue to grow, to educate. I love listening to them. I love hearing other coaches speak. I do want to mention one thing real quick about being the chair of Coaches versus Cancer. For if there's anybody out there who wants to get involved, please reach out. It's such an important cause. We're close to $200 million raised, and it's significant. We all know somebody or have known somebody who's been touched by cancer. And I will say this, I just had mine. Go get screened, run the test. Preventive is the best way. And it's a pleasure to serve them and American Cancer Society and all they do. So I'm excited to be here, and it's always great to be with NABC and Championship Productions and doing a lot of in trying to do our part anyway in terms of making the game better.
My first question is this. You worked for Coach Huggins. So did Frank Martin. I mean, I could go down the list. And all of you guys, all of the coaches that I deal with that have kind of come from his tree have a really great sense of giving back and speaking and clinics and getting involved. Is that something he kind of instilled in you, or is that just something a character trait that he looked for, just guys that just love the game of basketball?
All the above. I think the one thing you get with Hugs and when you've been around him, people are drawn to him. He's a magnet that way with his personality. And you saw the care and the passion that he had for his players. But he was basketball is always on his mind. And it was something that as a student of the game, he was very, very involved in clinics. He grew up in his father's camps. He was he was always talking about moments that impacted his life, growing up when he was a camper or when he was at West Virginia as a player. And then you get into coaching, and it's all about continuing to learn. And so I think that there's every facet of what you described with Hugs is true. Great human being, always about people. Love the camaraderie of coaches. Back in the old days when we used to just congregate at recruiting events and we might have a cold beverage afterwards and we would sit and just talk and the relationships with ball coaches um, unfortunately I think is getting lost in some of the things we do, but Hugs was the master at it. He loved the personalities, he loved the stories, and loved to talk ball.
Before we get into your topic of man-to-man offense, I was just wondering, you've started practice. What are you in day 5, day 4?
Today was day 5, our fifth practice.
Could you just walk us through what was your first practice like? What's the things you stress? And the only reason I ask is one time we went with Jim Calhoun and they had some great huge guys, but they had Kimball Walker and they did this rebounding drill. Kimball Walker was in that rebounding drill for like 30 minutes. He couldn't get out. He couldn't get 3 rebounds when he stayed in it. But can you walk us through what's the first drill? What's that first practice like?
Yeah, for me, the first practice is great. It's somewhat been minimized because we get these guys so much in the summer now. It was a little different for our team this year because we had some European guys that were not here this summer. So there was a newness to it. But again, I think the one thing that we try to do is implement things in the fall so that when we get to the day one of practice, we don't have to spend as much time in necessarily the teaching mode of those certain things. Fundamental basketball is what we're trying to be about from day one. And now we amp it up a little bit. We're very, very competitive in our drills. Uh, we emphasize the rebounding side of things a lot. So there's a lot of rebounding drills. We have 4 or 5 of them in day one of practice that are very important. It'll be something I talk about here. Just the simple one-on-one battles of winning closeouts, very important. And then you continue to grow your shell drill, you continue to grow your defense, and then your offensive techniques that we've been working on really from the summer. Now they get to be a little more detailed, a little more intense, and then we actually play a lot. So we're trying to develop chemistry the best we can with a new team, and so we dive into that. But the first day, I've always said I'll know when it's time for me to step away, when I'm not as excited as a kid in a candy store on the first day of practice, and I am. I wish we could bottle all that energy up, and bring it out in January when we're in the meat of the season.
Next question, then I'll turn it over to you is this. If you 100% practice, how much is skill development? How much is man to man? How much is offense? How much is defense? And maybe all in one drills where the drill is both sides of the ball.
Yeah, we do a lot of 5-on-5, and we've changed that in the last maybe 3 years, 4 years. But early on, probably 75% of our practices are on the defensive side, with an emphasis there. I'm a big believer that defensive chemistry is the hardest thing to develop. Getting kids to communicate. We have a saying that our guys are already sick of me saying, quiet teams lose. There's no mind reading in basketball. You have to get teams to communicate. Everybody ball screens to a certain extent now. So, if you're guard guarding a guard, you've got to hear the call. You've got to process. If you're a big and you're defending a big, you've got to be able to verbalize what the screen call is or the coverage that you're in. Uh, and so there's tremendous chemistry that has to happen on that side. So we're probably today in our practice was our fifth. It was 90% on the defensive side. A lot of our stuff this fall, Tom, was more on the offensive side a little bit. So we feel like we're in a good place there, but developing that chemistry, getting guys to a point where we're not making fundamental mistakes, and those are the things that we really strive for. And then all that process is playing hard. and you've got to learn, you've got to think it, and all the while you've got to make the second, third, and fourth efforts.
Last one for me. Sorry about that. Skill, I mean, when you do your preseason, postseason, summer work, is that all? And the reason I asked is Greg Gard said their off season is really all offense. Is that similar to what you guys do?
Yeah, the spring is basically gone now because of the portal. The spring for us has become very much, we're a development program. So it's the weight room, it's our strength coach. And then we have a young man in our program, Zach Hamer, as a coach, handles all of our player development in conjunction with our strength coach, our trainer, our recovery process. We will touch in the summer, we will touch one 4 to 5 minute segment every day on defense. The rest of it is spent on offense. And so it's just to keep it fresh in their mind. But yeah, what we do offensively takes a little time as well. But it is it's probably 80-20, 90-10 in the summer. In the fall, we feel like we get to a good spot offensively. And then here in the start of practice, we grind it pretty good on the defensive end and on the glass.
Coach, first, again, thanks for being with us. I'm going to turn it over to you and you can start talking about man-to-man offense. I'll kind of monitor that anybody has any chats or questions that they have. And then also, I would just say this, there's quite a few people on. You can text me if you have a question, 515-460-8080. If you have any questions and you don't want to text or chat it, just put it in there and I'll ask Coach when he takes a breath. Coach, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm going to start here on the offensive side with something that we became pretty analytical based in everything we do offensively. There's been a philosophy. A few years ago we had a young man named Kofi Coburn, was a two-time All-American. Kofi was massive. He was 7 foot, 300 pounds. We tried to throw the ball to the rim as often as we could. Replacing him was next to impossible. So we had to make some changes. I will say this, I think change is great. I think it's something that we as coaches can get stuck in and be very comfortable in certain things and not want to change. We've made a lot of changes here. But if you saw my SFA teams early, I was a hard denial, ran spread. Now we've gone from a high turnover force team at SFA to a team that's one of the worst in the country at forcing them, because we're more in the gaps and so on. But one of the things we've done offensively, positional size and shooting, have become stalwarts of what we look for in recruiting. And uh, we partner that with what we call race, space, and pace, and I'll get into that here in a minute. But one of the things I want to talk about, it all stems from rebounding for us. And we were number one in the country most of the year. Last year, we had a couple of injuries late that kind of took that away from us. But the premise of rebounding, and it's analytics, is very important. So we changed our philosophies on rebounding a couple of years ago. I got really frustrated when I was the conventional, antiquated way, I think, of getting back in transition. Well, you're 1 and 2, go back. You're 3, 4, and 5, crash the glass. I think that's really antiquated in today's game. So we made some changes. It's been very, very good for us on both ends of the court. We play the math in that, and what I mean by that is we chart our missed shots. So about 73 to 75% in the last 4 years of our missed shots have gone middle or opposite the side they've been shot from. So we just flood that area, and it's something that is a non-negotiable for us. Whether you want to have your guys do push-ups, whether you want to put them on a treadmill, whether you want to whatever you do, we hold our guys to an accountability on that every single day. And it's one of the stats I get every single day. How many opportunities did they have to go to the glass, and did they go? So it's a big piece of what we do. If we shoot it too, and I'll get into shot selection here in a minute, but in a ball screen, if the point guard's in the paint and he shoots a shot and our bigs pop, which they do a lot, all of our five men can really shoot, then we have a rule. If it's a 2-point field goal and it's in the paint, uh, if you're above the top of the key, you're back, no matter who it is. If our point guard, that means our point guards are rebounding. If you're in a corner, which we always play in our space, that usually having both corners filled most of the time, you crash the glass from the corners, and you do that. Our rule of thumb is you have to go to the middle of the floor. Okay, you don't go low. If we have a big in a dunker spot, he circles underneath and goes opposite where the shot is and tries to get inside every defender with tremendous physicality. So basically the rule is if you're above the top of the key, you're back. Anywhere else, you're crashing, trying to get opposite where the shot goes. If it's a three, okay, and this is where we were really good last year. Again, a philosophical change for us. Last year, 47% of our field goal attempts were threes, and we got 43% of our misses back. Led the country in rebounding missed threes. So the rule is very simple. You shoot it, you're back. So if you wherever you shoot a three from, you're the one getting back. I don't buy all the stuff that follow your own shot and do this and that. That's a 1 out of 100 opportunity to get it back anyway, especially when you play the percentages when most of them go middle or opposite. Also, philosophy, long shots equal long rebounds. So one of the things that we dove into was late clock situations, and probably stubborn, not very smart at times. I was always, drive the ball, make the officials make a call. Um, we never got the call. And one of the things I found out really quick in the Big Ten is if you jump off 1 foot, late clock, they're never going to bail you out. And all of a sudden, we started throwing up really hard shots that we never got the rebound, and it usually led to a fast break the other way. So we have started shooting off the dribble threes late clock with the idea that we were going to get those back, and we get a much better three on an offensive rebound than we call them a money shot. We get much better looks off offensive rebound threes than we do really running offense trying to create a three. So just a philosophy change. And again, if you shoot the three, you're back. I don't care where it's at. It can be in the corners, wherever. You've got to sprint back. Again, guards crashing from the slots, from the wings. You're running into a lot of rebounds. We've had, I think we've had 8 triple doubles in the last 3 years. Guards rebounding. Kasparas Yakachonis last year, first round game against Xavier in the tournament, was 1 defensive rebound away from a triple double. The year before, we had a young man named Marcus Domask, was a guard for us, had a triple double in the NCAA tournament. He's one of 10 players to do that. Kylan Boswell had one. Terrence Shannon had one. I would assume we had 3 or 4. Again, all of those because we rebound. Also, on an offensive rebound, 1 out of every 2 offensive rebounds we get ended up in a foul. And for me, that's like robbing Fort Knox. That's precious. Because then the other coach has to deal with foul trouble, has to deal with, it might be a guy's second, or he's frustrated as heck, because we've got an offensive rebound. So I love those. We also teach our players, if you get an offensive rebound and your shoulders are squared to the rim and you can lay it in, lay it in. If you catch it at any other angle, kick it out. And it's been very, very good for us. Again, this plays into our math on the offensive side. Just more opportunities. We just want more opportunities to score than our opponents. For us, it's vital because we're not forcing a ton of turnovers based on what we do on the defensive side. So getting those extra opportunities are very important. Putting fouls on people are very important, which along with rebounding have led to tremendous offensive efficiency. And the one thing that we talk a lot about in our program is the desire to want to get fouled. I don't think people emphasize that enough. I think this is where the collegiate game has changed the most. Uh, it used to be, and I'm going to go back 15 years, it used to be you had to have a top 15 defense to go to the Final Four. And that was pretty standard. You had to be good defensively. Now that there's a big shift in that. If you're not a top 15 team offensively, it is really, really hard to win and get to the Final Four. And you still have to be good defensively, but the way the game is officiated has given a lot of advantage to the offense. And the desire to want to get fouled is very important. Terrence Shannon, a few years ago, All-American for us, shot 289 free throws or 286 free throws and missed 6 games. It was +9 a game at the line. So it's something that we really stress and work towards wanting is our guys getting fouled. So last year we ended up 14th with 11 new players in our program in offensive efficiency. The year before, we were actually number 1 in the country in offensive efficiency going into our Elite Eight game with UConn. Donovan Klingen had a little to do with that. So we actually fell to 3rd that year. At Oklahoma State, our team was number 1 in the country in offensive efficiency. So it's something that's been very, very good in terms of emphasizing getting fouled and emphasizing rebounding. We emphasize the defensive rebounding for this reason. I am on my guards constantly about rebounding on the defensive side. That leads to what we call turbo, which is our race. Okay. I never want to outlet. The only people that have to outlet for us are if I've got a stiff 5-man who can't dribble, that's it. Everybody else, we want to try to break out and run. And we work very, very hard on short pitch aheads, especially in the backcourt or real close to the half-court line. And it's, again, a great opportunity. The one thing that's challenging in the Big Ten, if you've got to face the defenses and the great coaches in this league every single possession, it's hard. It's really hard to score. And it's physical. There's a lot of size. So every opportunity I don't have to call a play is great. The other thing that we emphasize, and again, running the floor is effort. And coaches, I mean, we should be demanding effort from our players. If you think about how many games you watch, whether it's AAU, whether it's whatever league you're in, how many guys jog back on defense and don't sprint back? It's unbelievable. So we want our guys to really run the floor very, very hard in transition. We practice it every single day. And so when I can get a player that's in a defensive back pedal on the defensive side and he's being attacked by a guy that's coming with a full head of steam, he's always going to get the call. There's no charge calls in today's game, so to speak. So um, something we emphasize that plays to our pace with turbo. Again, we have three shots we shoot in transition. We're either going to shoot a three, we're going to shoot a layup or dunk, or we're going to shoot a free throw. If you shoot a two for us in transition, you are coming out. That is a horrible shot. And so we do not want those in transition. So it's very, very important that we all understand that. Every single game, every single day in practice, we chart how many baskets we score under 7 seconds. So the last 2 years, our number has been exactly the same. It's been 24 points a game in Big Ten play. It gets much higher than that in some of our non-league games, but 24 points a game in under 7 seconds. And that's a pretty good number. We're trying to move that up a little bit this year. We're a team that averages about 85 points a game. So we get 24 of them through free throws, again, layups or wide open threes. Um, we talk about this a lot in coaches. I think this is a teaching point, is the first three steps. And I talk about the first three steps, and that's both ways. It's getting out and running, and it's also your transition defense is vitally important, your first three steps. And there's nothing that drives me up a wall more than seeing a guy hang his head because he missed a shot, or somebody didn't make the extra pass. Um, we look for those in scouting. We want to pick on those guys. So the first three steps are really important in getting out and running. Like I said, the little pitch aheads. If we get a guard that gets a rebound and he slices the floor, we encourage that. We love that a lot, and pitch aheads that way. Um, so we have a rule and we practice every day. We want 4 seconds to space. Okay, 4 seconds to space. So the corners are filled. For us, it's very simple. We're five out. So there's going to be two slots filled, one with the primary ball handler, one with a big. Um, our fours or our fives, our closest men, which we call connectors, take the ball out. Everybody else runs. And if it's a made shot. So we're going to play to that, and we want to do that in 4 seconds. The other piece to that is now how quickly can we create an advantage? Okay. And again, the premise of never allowing a defense to get truly comfortable and set. Okay. If somebody's a step off, great, advantage us. So our whole philosophy offensively is to get two defenders to the ball as quickly as possible. Whether that's a ball screen, whether that's a penetration and a help and kick, whatever it is, we want two defenders to the ball as quickly as we can. So we practice trying to get that done in 6 seconds. Um, for the most part, we're pretty good at it off misses. That pace is the important thing on makes. So um, the core, the emphasis is the first 7 seconds, and then after that, it becomes an opportunity to play from advantage, disadvantage. And I'll touch on advantage, disadvantage here in just a sec, but it's something that we play for. We play a lot in concepts, more in concepts than we ever do running a set. Um, so again, when you can get two guys to the ball pretty quick, force a hedge, force or attack and a drop, whatever the coverage is, our guys are going to be well dialed into that, and then we're going to play accordingly out of that. But uh, that kind of leads to our spacing. Again, we want our guards to see an open paint. And it's about attacking the paint. We call it hunting the logo. In the Big Ten, there's a big logo right under the free throw line. For us, it's about hunting that logo. And we want to touch it as often as we can. With that being said, in our spacing, for us, we have a very direct, very much talked about every day and mapped out a medal standard for our shots. We have gold medal shots, silver, and bronze. Uh, Gold medals for us, we call them money threes. They're off penetration or pitch aheads that lead to a completely uncontested three. Okay, we'll take those. If we get those every trip, we'll shoot them every trip. Um, Gold medal shots are layups that are not contested. Okay, you don't get a ton of those. Okay, silvers are shots that are taken that are layups that might be contested by one defender. You beat your defender, help side defender comes over, but it's still an opportunity at the rim. Uh, Obviously, a three that is a good shot is a silver, but it's a late contest, so we take those. Okay, we chart all those. We want as many gold and silvers as we can. Are there going to be bronzes taken? Yes. The bronze for us is the late clock. I've got to take the off dribble three that's contested. I'm in the paint. I shoot a little bit of a fadeaway because I'm good at it, but it's a contested shot that I can make, or it's a layup over multiple defenders. And you're going to take some of those. You're going to have to make some of those. Uh, just the fact that the defenses are good. So we talk a lot about our shot selection. We try very hard to eliminate contested off the dribble threes with 19 on the shot clock. We can get a better one than that. That's been a huge emphasis for us all summer as we head into the season. We didn't do as good a job of that last year as we're hoping to do this year, because I really believe shot selection leads to championships. And when you play as fast as we do, we understand we're going to get some layups. We understand we're going to get fouled. We understand we're going to offensive rebound. But in the half court, we've got to get quality shots. And so the gold medal standard is what we look for every day. And we've just found a way that helps our guys, I think, identify what is a good shot and what is a bad shot. And we talk about that every day. But we want them to see an open paint. We want them to touch the paint, create the advantage however we create it, and then let's start making the right basketball plays after that. And it can be with cuts. It can be with, you know, we cut, we slide. We call that a Clyde cut. It can be a lot of different opportunities, but we want to keep what we call the grinder going. Once we get an advantage, having the ball move and doing that with great spacing. 2 years ago, it looked a little different for us. We did what we called booty ball, which was create a matchup that we liked. We had Thomas Domask, a former power forward, became our point guard, and we just created a mismatch right away. As soon as we could get it, he would back it into the paint, force a double team, or he would go score, depending on the coverage. He was great at it. Terrence Shannon was our leading scorer at 23 points a game that year, and most all of his half-court baskets came because he was on the back in the backside corner, attacking a closeout or shooting a wide open three, based off rotations, being able to space the floor. So our pace becomes about what we do in the half court. We've become a very good cutting team, simply because our five men can all shoot it. Tomislav Ivicic last year took 12 threes in an NCAA tournament game, made five, had 5 assists. Very good passer. And again, the paint is open. So it's about reading cuts. We do cut a ton. It's an advantage, it's an opportunity to get in the paint and score at the rim. Again, the philosophy is still attacking the rim, getting as close to the basket as you can. The closer you are to the basket, the better chance it has to go in. I still believe that. But shooting good layups, um, uncontested layups is much better than shooting hard shots and where you have to jackknife it and throw up some very, very difficult shot. We don't want to do that. So, getting in and out of ball screens is a big deal for us, to do it with pace, to do it quickly. And again, pace always comes back to once we get an advantage, we want to be able to move the ball and move our bodies quicker than the defense can react. We never want the defense to get back even with us in numbers once we've created that advantage. So we talk about that at length. It goes hand in hand, I think, with the shot selection piece that we get. We play truthfully out of two kind of alignments. I'll talk a little bit about that in terms of I'll get to that here in just a second. Tom, is there any questions at this point that we'd like to jump in with before I
Yep,
get?
I got 3 questions for you.
Yep.
How do you teach your players not to get offensive fouls as they play so aggressively? Do you call lots of fouls in practice? Do you have drills that helps you out on this?
Yeah. So I think the one thing that where the college game is different, the block charge, we all know is probably a 90% block rate. So the offensive rebounding piece that will I want them to be aggressive. Yes, very. But what I don't want them to do, to me, it's just lazy and an excuse for failure if you just run through somebody's back. That we discipline. We take them out, we move them around, get on the treadmill or push-ups, whatever it is. We want them to play with an assertiveness that and a physicality that is with your hand, or excuse me, with your chest and with your hips, and not necessarily your hands or your forearms. You can get away with a lot with your chest, but the offensive rebounding thing with the physicality to me is all about the second and third effort. If somebody does their job, and coaches think about this, how many of you teach blocking out on the perimeter? Hardly anybody does. It's a very hard thing to do, is to go from a help side position at the nail, and I'm guarding a guy on the wing and I want to block him out. If I'm an offensive player and that happens, I've got to make a second move. I've got to go one direction or the other and make that defender move. That may free it up for somebody else. We get more rebounds because the guy that's blocked out made a second effort so somebody else on his team could go get it. And so again, we're playing based on effort. We're running based on effort. We're offensive rebounding based on effort. There has to be some intelligence because we don't want to just maul people when we go. But on the other hand, I'm probably not going to complain too much if we're going to the boards and pick up an offensive foul. I didn't hear you there, Tom.
Sorry about that. In transition offense, if you don't get a dunk or layup or a three, what secondary actions do you like to get to best?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's where it falls into that 6-second rule. We could have an unbalanced floor, a balanced floor. We run into all kinds of different scenarios. The biggest thing is again trying to put two defenders to the ball as quick as we can. we want, especially if our lead guards have it or our primary handlers, we want to try to, we call it crease. We want to try to crease the paint. If it's not there, then we're going to get into a drag ball screen. If we have two bigs that happen to be behind the ball, it could be a double ball screen high. Um, we have 6 or 7 different things. I think one of the other things that I want to talk about with the spacing and transition and leads me into it is we get to what we call 3 low. If you watch the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Celtics, they get to it a lot. Um, but if we get a big ahead of the action, sure, we call it a magnet. If there's a guard back, which most people in college basketball have their guards back, and we've got a big ahead, we call it a magnet. We're going to post that. Like, that's an immediate mismatch. I can't find anything better offensively than to find a mismatch right away. So if that doesn't happen and we don't throw it, we get a big to a dunker. So now we've got 2 dunkers, or we've got the 2 corners and a dunker filled. And usually it leaves a 4 and a 5, what we call a connector, and a action guy up top. And we'll play from there. For us, most every ball screen that happens in the middle third of the floor is a pop, unless there's a switch. So I don't care what the coverage is, we're going to pop. Our 5 men can really pass it, and we can really shoot it, all of them. So for us, that's a pretty good action. If there's a mismatch, then obviously we'll post it. But that triggers some different key things for us out of those alignments. But again, the reality is we're trying to get to a ball screen as quickly as we can in transition.
What about your spread offense, which is one of the best-selling videos ever? Do you ever go back to the running your spread stuff?
Yeah, I'm running actions out of it. I'm getting 2 actions. I spread is spread was phenomenal, and there's so many concepts in there that we still utilize, even though it looks a little bit different. The to me, I love the elbows. I love what we call the 2 man game out of that, and getting downhill off that little handoff. We flare that elbow a lot now in some actions that we run. Um, we post our guards a lot in a very similar action that we did in spread. In spread, the first cutter went through, the second cutter went through, and we would post any matchup. And we're doing some of that, especially with this team. We got a young man named Andre Stojakovic that's 6'7" guard that's very physical and a good player down there. So we steal a lot of concepts from that. Um, I don't run it per se as an offense, because the one thing I will say, it was a full-time thing to teach and get good at. But the concepts of passing, the concepts of cutting, especially off-ball cuts, we've incorporated kind of into the 5 out stuff that we do now.
What is a good foundation or fundamentals to establish a man-to-man offense for high school players? And do you separate the bigs from the guards as you establish your man-to-man offensive system the first few weeks of practice?
Yes. So for us, we're down to 2 positions. I don't ever label anybody by positions. For us, they're either connectors, which happen to be our bigs, who do a lot of ball screening, and everybody else is a handler. So we're teaching everybody else, and an action guy. We're teaching everybody else to play in ball screens, run the floor, attack, do all of those things. So yes, to answer your question, they are separate for us. I think every fundamental thing would be what you want to emphasize. I say this all the time. If you walk into our practice, I want you as a coach to leave and say, damn, that's what they're good at. That's what they're about. That's what they do. And on the offensive side, if that's ball movement, if that's ball screens, if that's cutting, we're going to work on ball screens. We were in more ball screens because Sparsiakachonis was number one in the country in the amount of ball screens he was in last year. Phenomenal playmaker. Got us a lot of baskets. You knew we were good at that because we spent a lot of time on that. Whatever your system is, those have to be your everyday vitamins, so to speak, what you want to do. Rebounding for us, big piece of that. Running for us, big piece of that. Um, you're gonna know that we like to do those things. So I can't be that specific for you in terms of knowing what you want, but whatever fits your system and whatever you want your team to be great at, be great at it. Be great at it. It's hard to be great, and you can't be great if you're doing 14 different things. But the two things or three things that are very important to you on the offensive end, you've got to maximize those opportunities and get great at them.
What are the basic concepts you implement within your half court offense in order to play organized yet free?
Yeah, again, it's understanding all of the reads and ball screens. We are very much dialed into the shot selection. We want our players to know what a good shot is. Uh, I go back to this. Look at the NBA a few years ago with shot selection. No one made it more famous than Chris Paul, the 17-foot contested two against a drop coverage and a ball screen. And man, everybody was out. Hey, you got to be a guard and you want to play in the NBA, you've got to make hard pull-ups, hard twos. Well, now if you watch them, they take an extra dribble or two and put that big in harm's way because there's a guy in the dunker who can dunk it, and they're 6 feet away. And that's an adjustment they've made. And now everybody's putting guards in the dunker. So now there's no shot blocking back there, and there's fives who can spread the floor. So, I think the one thing that we do is I'm infatuated with passing. If you can pass to me, it's about you've usually got pretty good feel. But again, it's we're going to play in ball screens, so we're going to teach all of our players how to set, what the right angle is. We have keys. If there's they go under a ball screen, we're going to flip it. What that looks like. So they're going to be conceptually very, very dialed in to ball screens with us, and then obviously the running and the shot selection piece to go along with the final piece is the offensive rebound.
One of the coaches that's listening is that you mentioned crease the paint.
Yes.
Do you want to mention what that is to you?
Yeah, it's my terminology. It's probably antiquated and old, but any opportunity we can take the ball from an outside third of the floor, okay, and a lot of times that's where we run is wide. And anytime that we can take and angle it towards the elbow and touch the paint there, I call it a crease. We want to try to crease it. We want to find that open area and gap to put as much heat, especially in transition, as possible. So, listen, we're looking to touch the paint. We had a drill today in practice. You couldn't shoot till the ball touched the paint twice. I didn't care about the shot clock. Um, so it's emphasizing those things, touching the paint. I call it creasing, just out of our terminology at Illinois, and something I've always done. But especially from the outside thirds, very, very important.
You may have mentioned this already, but I'll mention it. You mentioned you prefer concepts to sets. What are
Yeah.
your main concepts that you like to use?
Yeah, I think there's a few of them, and especially with this year's team, uh, you're going to see it. You're going to see us screen with many different players. You're going to see us post different guards. Again, we're very heavy in the ball screen stuff. You'll see us, I hope, I pray that we're a great cutting team, because of our fives that can really shoot. And we have four of them. We're blessed. We have four or five men who can really shoot the basketball. So it's going to open up, and they're very good passers. Um, those are our vitamins. Every day we're gonna work on ball screens. Every day we're gonna work on cutting. The actions are a little more difficult to determine because they all happen high. If we play in a side ball screen, um, a lot of times we call it a capella. We're slipping out of it and getting to the rim. We're trying to touch the paint that way. If it's a middle ball screen, we're popping a little more than we are rolling unless it's a switch. It's the concepts that just happen by playing, and the advantages. We want our guys to understand that. I am a huge teacher using film. We will stop practice two or three times, four times a day. We start every day with film. We show them NBA concepts that were here. Look what happened here when they blitzed this ball screen. Um, our guys have to read those things. To me, the game is about processing and problem solving. And I want guys that can solve those problems, based on what the defense does. So there's always a counter. The other piece to all of that, major emphasis on turnovers. And I think we stress, maybe as much as anybody out there, live ball turnovers. I would rather you punt it in the stands than just throw it up for grabs. Um, Again, it's pretty hard to defend a live ball turnover, at this level anyway. Teams have a lot of really good players. So I don't hear you, Tom.
Sorry about that. I keep turning off. We get two more questions, and
Yep.
then we'll maybe talk about the NABC for a couple minutes, and then we'll end it. Why do you pop the big man, the big, when he sets the ball screen at the middle third rather than rolling him to the basket?
Yeah, again, it stays with what we conceptually want to stress. It it will be um, it keeps great spacing. It allows for some cutting on the back on the back side of that. When you pop, we will cut and create some opportunities. But the main objective is to keep the paint open, to have the guards, uh, keep their ability to get in the paint and do that. I think one of the hardest things to guard, for a five man is a pop. Um, it's the golden rule is to have a five man who can really shoot it, and really pass it. So we do it in the middle third because we can go either way. Our five men then have the options to go either way with it. They can dribble handoff, they can pass it and chase it to get to a side, they can play it right back to the primary ball handler. Again, it's always about trying to put X5 in as much peril as possible. If X5 switches onto one, then we will roll it. Then we'll play to what we call the magnet. Then we'll play to the switch. But again, low percentage play against the switch is trying to take advantage of it without a pass. So we would rather move the ball in the perimeter, have X5 come out and ball screen or create another action or another movement. Um, just been pretty good for us. I hope that answered your question because it's something that, is pretty good with as much cutting as we do.
What's the name of the drill where you have them touch the paint twice? I think you were doing an offensive drill. You couldn't get a shot until they touched the paint twice with the ball.
Yeah, we put a 24-second shot clock, and assuming that we've come across half court, and it's 5-on-5, and we will start it from a side ball screen. We'll start it from a high slot ball screen and try to bring two to the ball right away. And then they've got to just touch the paint. And if they don't, if the scoring for us is very different, it's not just twos and threes. We double the points if you get an offensive rebound and score. If you shoot it and you don't touch the paint twice and score, it's a minus that amount, so it's a -2 or a -3. And then we'll play to a certain number. We'll play to 7 or we'll play to 10, however long I want to spend in the drill, to be very honest. But we always double it for offensive rebounds. And again, just the emphasis of getting them conceptually buying into touching the paint.
Well, I'm going to give you one more compliment. Every time I've ever called you, you may say, Tom, I just don't know if that's going to work. I don't know if I can do it. And somehow you make it work and you make it fit. And I think people really greatly appreciate you. They look at you as a basketball coach. And I think that's probably one of the greatest compliments you can get. So I appreciate everything you do. If you want to say anything about the NABC, you just became a member of the board of directors, and then Frank Martin's next. I hope he's not happy with you because you took the time he wanted. So I just want you to know that.
Well, you'll get educated with Frank. I don't know. I apologize to all those who had to listen to me, and you'll get some great wisdom from Frank, an unbelievable basketball coach and basketball mind. Learned so much from him in the 6 years we were together, and but I do think, and Frank's on the NABC board as well, and I'm excited to be on it because I think there's change that's coming, and there's a lot of it. To be a small piece of being able to maybe influence some of those rulings or decisions or where it goes. The group that's on there, I think is excellent. We have to continue to grow the NABC. We have to continue to demand that assistant coaches join it, get involved, stay with it. We have a great game, and contrary to a lot of the negative crap that's out there, the game is in a great place. We don't have to always like it. There's a lot of complaining going on. It can be challenging, yes. Is it different? Yes. Kids still love to play the game of basketball. Viewership in last year's NCAA tournament was up 8%. You've got all this revenue being generated. You look at the NBA and what it's becoming is tremendous. So I think the game's in a great place. Guys like Frank and so many others now on the board. I'm honored. Tom, I appreciate everything you do at Championship Productions. You continue to grow the game. The videos, the clinics, everything you're doing on the junior college side. You're also on the board. My hat's off to people that want to continue to make the game a better place, and there's another generation coming up, and I want them to be better than we were, and care about the game as much as we all do. And you get guys like myself and Frank Martin. We did this for nothing, and don't get Frank going about telling you his days bouncing at the bars in South Beach back in the day, but it's a great game, and we're in a great place. So. I appreciate everything you do. And again, Coaches versus Cancer, if we can help anybody get out there and get screened. And if you want to do your part, please just reach out to me, and be glad to get you going.
Coach, thanks again. Have a great night. Good luck this season.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.